And we're back with Parlor City Voice, Mayor Scott Mincer, and I'm Councilman Rick Elwell. And big thanks to Aaron Pribble for talking about Parlor City Christmas coming up this weekend. Very much looking forward to that.
Yeah, back-to-back weekends with a lot of activity going on downtown. I can't remember another downtown that's been this active in, geez, I don't know how long.
We really had a good turnout for the tree lighting. That was really nice to see that come back as a tradition. I can't say enough thanks to the folks that put that together. There's a number of those folks to mention. I don't have all of the names, but we had a great turnout, and the event, we started it a little early. You could say it's my fault. I thought you would talk longer. You normally do.
All right, so everyone knows exactly what we're talking about. The lights were supposed to go off at exactly 7 o'clock. Now, I don't think any of us had an actual clock in front of us to know what the countdown was, but I relied on Rick to know when to start, and Rick relied on me to talk. How long? How long was I supposed to talk?
Till 7.
You actually don't know how long I was supposed to talk.
I don't have a clue. And the irony of the whole thing is we were standing under a giant clock tower.
So I talked for, I don't know how long, obviously too short for Rick's leg, and we turned the lights on too soon. So a few people who thought they were going to go off at 7 got there about 3, 4 till, and the lights were already on.
But we had a great time, and we had an amazing turnout.
And in case you missed it.
Oh, visual aids.
That's what you missed right there. Look at that downtown.
It was a lot of fun.
And we had the Grinch and Frosty the Snowman and the Dalmatian from the fire department. And look at all the people who were downtown.
The golf cart
parade. The
golf
cart parade over there by Rick. That was one of the winners, the UPS. I think that's the UPS van right there, maybe? I don't know.
It is.
But a great event. The downtown looks great. And you know, my wife and I were driving downtown and we were coming up Main Street, and we both said to ourselves, if this was any other town, if we were in some other small town USA and we were driving through a city, we would be like, wow, this city has got it going on. And it looks great. I want to give a big shout out to the electric department, Travis Barnes especially, who literally went around and replaced every one of these light bulbs on the top of these buildings.
10,000.
Yes, every one of them.
Light
we
bulbs.
switched out to LEDs.
That's a lot.
Big shout out to Travis. Sometimes the utility guys, they're behind the scenes. They don't really get the credit that they deserve, but in this case, well deserved, thanks to Travis and the electric department. But great event.
Great event. Looking forward to the next one. I think that this was a tradition for a lot of folks, and to be able to be a part of bringing it back was really, for me, it was fulfilling.
And what was neat, as Aaron talked about for the Parlor City Christmas, she talked about every year they get suggestions on things that they could be doing differently or things that they could add. And I found this to be just like that. As soon as it was over, all the compliments that you can imagine, followed by, what if we had this next year? Which I think is awesome, because that means people are looking forward to next year already, anticipating how it can be even bigger and better than it was this year.
You know what I'd like to do? I told you this. Next year, I would like to take a couple really well-known Christmas carols and maybe do the first verse and chorus as a group,
Yeah, that would be awesome.
Just like the end of Elf. What'd they do at the end of Elf to bring Christmas cheer back? They had to get that level up, man. We sang. Maybe we should do that.
Okay, I sort of like that. Yeah. I still have the Clark Griswold moment of the extension cord that I want to pull.
Santa threw the switch this year, and that was cool. But we can get a big extension cord for you next year.
Well, I'd appreciate it. Can you work that out?
I can make that happen.
Since you're the stage master of this,
I know
these
a
events.
guy. Yeah.
Someone suggested that perhaps a firework or two.
Yeah, we could talk about that. That was actually done in the year 2000 at the turn of the year. We had downtown fireworks. Takes a little more logistics and planning to pull that off because
I can't think of a better guy to be able to plan all that.
Thanks.
Than Councilman Elwell.
It's a great compliment. Translation, more work. But nonetheless, looking forward to it.
Yep, great event.
Well, I'll tell you, we have a lot going on. So, and since we're talking about downtown, Let's spend a few minutes, because I actually took some time last weekend and looked at our alleyways that we've done. You know, we have the Bluffton now has been really working hard to get these alleyway projects completed, and we have a couple more that are coming up. Let's want to talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, so one of the cool things about the alleys is that the intention of those alleys was to connect parking lots to downtown. And when you have events that bring crowds the size that we had last weekend, and we certainly expect this coming weekend, people are going to have to park a little ways away from downtown and walk to the event. And the pathways are meant to connect those parking places to the downtown and give the visitor a little bit of an experience, a comfort level, a pleasing atmosphere as they enter into our downtown. And I think they knocked it out of the park on the first 3 alleys, but they've got a couple more that they want to get done, and we can show you.
Get that page, Cheney. Is that it? There it is. There it is.
So this is where the next 2 alleys will go. So on the 200 block of West Market Street, and so if you know where the foundation is or where the last mural that we painted is, that's where one of the alley that they call alley number 3 is intended to go. And then alley number 5 is actually on East Market Street, right next to what people might refer as the boxing club.
The boxing club, just catty corner from City Hall.
Catty corner from City Hall. And so that's their next 2 targets. And what is key at this particular moment, they've got to the end of the year to get some matching money, and they're about $35,000 short to get a full $1 to $1 match. Okay. So, you know, right now there's sort of a call out to try to get them to that level. So $35,000 between now and the end of the year. We don't have a lot of time, but I'm confident that the community can pull together so they can get those matching funds, and so that we can get these last 2 alleys completed and finish out the vision that Bluffton Now has presented to us. And big shout out to Bluffton Now, the Parlor City Plaza that we did the lighting ceremony on, that would not have been possible without Bluffton Now. A lot of the events that happen downtown now are courtesy of Bluffton Now. So I really want to see the community rally and support them. $35,000, that's their goal. And again, they've got a matching commitment if they can get that extra $35,000.
If someone wants to throw in on that financially, who do they contact?
So the easiest place is to contact the foundation, which is literally right across the street from this alley. So this building right here is where the Wells County Foundation is. And if you go down to the foundation, you could literally walk in and just let them know that it's for the Pathway Project. It is completely tax deductible. So save a little bit on your taxes coming up. Here's a chance to reduce your tax burden coming into 2026. Get into the foundation and support the Pathway Project. Okay. Or go to their website, just Google Wells County Foundation. That'll get them to their website, and you can donate online. So support the Pathways. I think it's a great thing.
It is, and looking forward to them completing the alleyway projects. We've had a few events lately, a couple of them not so good. We had a fire recently. You want to talk about that for a minute?
Yeah,
that was kind of a big deal.
So,
unfortunately, we had a sizable fire.
Unfortunately, this street that you see a piece of was in one of our first podcasts. That's Indiana Street, and we just completed totally repurposing that street. And then unfortunately, we had a pretty significant fire there, had to call in several units. We had several ladders, had to call in ladders from other areas to be able to fight this fire. But there's one thing that I really want to hit on as it relates to this fire. So in this particular situation, there was a compressor that went bad inside the facility, and it had tripped a breaker. They threw the breaker back on and kicked the compressor back on. And then they noticed that there was an area where there was a switch and an overprotection switch, and it had started to char and heat up and smoke up a little bit. And then there was some other evidence of smoke. And so they took a fire extinguisher and they extinguished the fire, which is awesome, right? I mean, we always want to make sure that these commercial areas have fire extinguishers available, tested. to take care of these sort of events. They thought they had it completely extinguished. They called a maintenance guy to let them know about the situation. The maintenance guy said, hey, I'll be there in the morning to take a look at it. And so they locked up and left, and then the fire reignited. We think. I mean, we're not for sure exactly what happened, but the speculation is that perhaps not everything got fully extinguished. And so they left prematurely. And so here's the key. Here's what I want to make sure that every resident and every business knows, is that if you have a fire and you have an extinguisher, certainly use your proper protocols, extinguish the fire, but still always call the fire department. Even if you believe that's been completely extinguished, the best practice is to call the fire department. They can come out to the scene, they can do some thermal imaging, make sure there's no other hot spots left, and again, give you the opportunity to, if there is something left behind, perhaps they can take care of it. Now, we don't know that that would have solved this situation, but it might have saved this building. Right.
And the thing about the tools that they have, thermal imaging in particular, it can see in walls, it can see things you can't see. Definitely 100% recommend that. It's worth it to prevent a worse situation from occurring, right?
I mean, we encourage residents, if your smoke alarm goes off, call the fire department. And typically that's a very, very minor event, right? You left the bacon too long on the stove. In this case, there was an actual fire that had to be extinguished. And it's in a grain mill, and there's a lot of flammable material inside buildings.
Grain dust is very flammable. Also, carbon monoxide. If you have a detector that goes off, don't just go, oh, the batteries must be bad, or oh, the unit's going bad, I'm fine, everything's fine. Give those folks a call. They'll come out with their meter. They can test and make sure you don't have a CO problem in your home. This is the time of year for that, and a lot of unfortunate tragedies can occur because of that. So, give them a call if that's a thing too.
The city is the only entity in this county who has invested in full-time firefighters. There is always firefighters on scene 24/7, 365 days a year. So we need to take advantage of those resources and make sure we keep our community, our people, and our property safe.
I think somebody else I'd like to throw a shout out to is the folks in our street department. We've had some, winter has returned with a vengeance. It's not even, as we're filming this podcast, it's not even technically winter yet. And we've had some pretty good snow events since we've done some snow plowing. I just talked to our street superintendent today. They went through some salt and they got a lot going on.
Funny you should say that. So I thought I would spend a little bit of time talking about the snowplow routes and just give you a little feel for organizationally how the street department goes about this. I think there's 61 miles of street.
66.
66, thank you. And so what they've done is they've broken it up into 4 quadrants, what they call the downtown quadrant, the north quadrant, which is this area here, south and southeast, which is down by you, Rick.
Yep, right there.
And then the west side, which is the purple area.
Yep.
So what happens is there's 4 crews, they'll go out and they'll hit those main corridors, the most traveled corridors, and that's their first priority. And those routes take roughly about 2 hours. Okay. And it turns out that the effectiveness of salt is about 2 hours as well. So what they'll do is they'll hit those main roads, they'll salt those main roads, and then they'll sort of assess the situation at that point in time. And if they think at that point in time the salt wasn't enough to be able to get the job accomplished, they'll go back and they'll do those same routes one more time. Okay. There's 2 other crews at that moment which will start to hit the secondary streets. And once they clear out the entire city, if there's an opportunity to do some alleyways, they'll do that. Typically, they won't do alleyways unless the snowfall, I think at 4 inches is the criteria to go out and hit alleyways. But that's sort of last on the list. Again, we want to hit the main corridors first, get the rest of the streets taken care of. And again, if we've got a significant snow event, we'll hit the alleyways. But that's sort of the process. And I thought it was worthwhile for people to sort of understand that.
That we have a plan and that's how they work it. And it's based on efficiency and based on response for the roads that need it the most and the arteries that are traveled the most.
And the interesting thing about this year is we've had a lot, relatively speaking, a lot of events. We haven't had a big dump of 6 to 10 inches.
Not yet.
But every time there's 2 inches, we've got to go out and we've got to salt the roads and plow. And what that means is we go through literally tons of salt.
I looked at the number today. So far, we've used 840 tons of salt on our roads this year, calendar year. So that's a lot.
And I think the commissioner told me that we've got about 1,000 tons available to us to get through the rest of the season, which typically that's way more than we have ever needed. But this year, if we keep getting multiple small events, the commissioner said it's almost easier to have one big 8-inch event and clear that out than multiple 2-inch events. So when you think about total accumulation over the winter, for the street department, it's really the number of events that matters more so than the total number of inches.
Well, I think they're doing a great job. Could be a tough winter. We'll see. Now let's talk about some positive aspects.
Well, before we get off the street department, I want to throw one more shout out to the street department. So through the month of October and November, people have been gathering their leaves and putting them out by the curbside. And typically what the street department does is they bring out the Vector truck and they just vacuum up all the leaves. A pretty efficient process. Well, once snowfall hits,
all bets are off.
that Vector truck is not vacuuming up any leaves, but they are still out getting the job done. Okay. They're actually out there scooping those leaves up, not manually, but they are scooping those leaves up and getting them off the street. So they are still hard at work out getting your leaves up under much more difficult conditions. So imagine what those leaves are like now after they've been dumped on by a bunch of snow and we're hitting temperatures into the single digits and teens.
Tough job. There's a positive aspect to the snow, though. You like sledding, Scott? Are you a sledding guy?
I was a sledder once. Okay. I haven't sledded recently, though, but maybe I should.
We can get some free sleds. Did you know? I actually was skimming social media yesterday, and this video popped up, and I didn't know we were doing this. We have free sleds.
But before we talk about sleds are coming up. Lancaster Park got a new maintenance building, and I want to give a big shout out to those who donated to make this happen. Meyer Building was the company who put the building up, and shout out to Brandy Fichter. She says she's always hustling to make something happen, and she got a new maintenance building out there to help beautify that park, more beautiful than it already is.
It's a great park.
But to your point, what's really happening is the big sledding hill.
Yep.
And I noticed there's a few people here that are a little older than your average teenager plopping down on a snow shovel. Or snow shovel.
Sled?
Sled.
Snow sled?
I think you could do it on a shovel.
You could. You probably shouldn't, but you could. I'm still kind of a sledding guy. I would sled. I would do it. It's not graceful and it may not end well, but we have a rack out there where they have some sleds, and if you take the kids and maybe you don't have a sled or you can't get to your sled, or stop by and see if there's one available.
Yeah, we didn't put it in a picture, but there is actual snow box, snow garage. I don't know what we call it, but there's probably, I don't know, a half a dozen or so sleds up there, so you can just go grab one, spend some time on the hill, throw it back in the box for the next person to enjoy. I think those right there are actually using the ones that are available at the hill at this moment. Here's the quiz. What is that?
That's a piece of sheet metal over what looks like wood.
That is a piece of sheet metal over what looks like wood. That is one of the planks on our existing pedestrian bridge. I've heard it now referred to as BUB.
The Big Ugly Bridge.
I will never call it the Big Ugly Bridge, but I'll be happy to use the term bub more affectionately.
I like the bridge myself. I understand. There's people.
Beautiful, useful bridge.
There you go. People don't understand the reason we don't paint that bridge is because it's designed to rust. The rust actually seals and encapsulates the metal so that it doesn't degrade. And it's just the type of steel that was used, science fact, little science corner moment here, the type of steel that was used, that was the intention. So we don't want to paint it, we don't want to sand it, it's not a thing.
So a little history of Bub. So Bub was built by the state. NDOT built the bridge for us, and then they turned the ownership over the bridge over to the city. And that's been about 20 years ago. And so what has happened over those 20 years is that some of these boards on the bridge have started to degrade. And as sort of a temporary patch, we have used this big, beautiful sheets of, I don't know what this is.
It's scary is what it is. We need to fix the deck on the bridge.
But a lot of people have made mention to it, to me specifically, over the last several months that this needs to be fixed. So I want to rest assured, we are looking into this, and the cost of these boards, so one, the minimum order quantity of boards is 30. And so how much do you think 30 boards cost?
I have no idea.
So it's about $12,000.
What?
To buy 30 boards. And the estimated installation cost with the cost of the boards to do those 30 is over $21,000. So just give you some indication of how expensive some of these structures are. Now, what the Parks Department is doing is seeing whether they can learn how to install the boards themselves so we can save some of that $21,000 and just pay for the cost of the boards. But we have gotten the boards on order, so they'll be put in storage, and come spring, we will remove this picture from our slide deck at some moment in time. But I wanted to make everyone aware that we are looking at this, it is in the plans, and it will get taken care of. And so just to tee you up for the next podcast, we're gonna have another unnamed picture that I'm gonna make you guess what it is.
Okay.
Next time we have a podcast. But this is one of the planks of the affectionately known Bub.
I've never called it that.
Okay, it's the pedestrian bridge that gets you over to Kehoe Park.
Right.
We also looked at sort of a poly product that would last much longer, conceivably the life of the bridge, and to replace all these wooden planks with that poly product.
How much?
Almost $300,000. Ouch. We're not doing that. So we're sticking with the wood.
Yeah, I think we should. I think that's probably good enough. So, yeah, good. Well, I'm glad that's happening. I was going to hit you up about it, but see, now I know.
Yeah, now you know.
Now I know.
Now you can save that.
So what else you got for us tonight?
Well, let's take a look.
For those that don't know Scott well, Scott loves his graphics. I've never met anyone that's put a PowerPoint together like you have and enjoyed it so much. It's a little scary.
I'd be better if we had a more electronic version than this flip easel idea, but
I think we might be able to arrange that.
If I just knew a techie guy.
I think we might be able to arrange that.
All right. Another thing on your list of things to look at. So, one of the things that you often hear is, boy, there's nothing going on around Bluffton. There's nothing to do. And we've talked about the lighting ceremony that was last weekend. We're talking about Parlor City Christmas with Aaron that's going on this weekend. But just inside the next couple of days, I wanted to talk about all the things that our Bluffton Parks Department is doing. So, on the 11th, a couple of things going on. At 11 a.m., you can come for story time with Mrs. Claus. Now, I wouldn't recommend the elderly that were sliding down the hill to go have story time with Mrs. Claus. It's meant for our younger generations. but you can go listen to a story. We've got a bounce house going on. So 11 o'clock, get your kids.
Where's that at?
That's at the city gym.
Okay.
So go to the city gym, 11 o'clock, enjoy the bouncy house, listen to Mrs. Claus read you a story. Later that same evening, come back for Winter Wonderland, back in the city gym, and Santa will be there. So Mrs. Claus has gotten her work done. Santa will come in. Lots of things going on that night. So 5:30 to 7. This is for a little older kids, older adults. Come on and enjoy Winter Wonderland in the Bluffton City Gym.
Okay.
Other things we got going on. We've got a coloring contest down here. So the youngsters can color this picture, submit it downtown, and they win a big 4-foot giant hanging Christmas sock.
I didn't know where you were going. I wasn't going to help you.
Full of gifts. It's packed full of gifts. So all you got to do is win the coloring contest. So all you with young kids, grab your crayons, color this out. There's a bunch of them already tacked up in the city gym, so go check those out. You'll know the one you'll have to beat. Go out and beat that and win a stocking full of gifts.
Sweet.
4-foot stocking full of gifts.
Yeah, that's cool. We've got a theater Thursday coming up, and of course it's Christmas themed with Red One. It's a movie I haven't seen yet. I think it came out last year. I think they're doing that at the library.
They're doing it at the library, and we talked about this in the last podcast. Everyone wants a movie theater in town, so my challenge is pack the house at this event and let's show the entrepreneurs in Bluffton that we need a movie house.
That we could support a movie house. Of course, for those of you, our own Josh Hunt is a runner these days, and so the Jingle Jog is coming up. That's a 5K fun run. That's on December 24th, so that's Christmas Eve day at 9 a.m., and that's popular.
And there's prizes available. If you're the first 20 people to beat the Grinch, you get a mug.
You mean the Grinch is going to participate?
The Grinch is participating, so he will be running. So you have to be the first 20 people to beat the Grinch, and you win a mug.
I don't think that's going to be a problem.
You don't think so? It would be a problem for me. I'm not beating the Grinch.
I've seen the Grinch run.
Can you beat the Grinch?
I don't know. Probably. He can't be that fast.
So are you running?
No.
Is this a commitment to run?
I don't know. Maybe.
Okay. All right.
Maybe.
So we also have Santa's mailbox. So if you go to Santa's mailbox and mail Santa a letter, you're going to get a return. You're going to get a return from Santa. Santa's going to return that letter, and maybe with a little surprise. So the mailbox is right out in front of City Hall. So another opportunity for the kids to interact with Santa. So you can mail them a letter. You can come and see him on the 11th. And Rick,
what's Search for Santa's Helper running December 1st through the 18th? What can you tell me about that? I don't know much about that. Do you? Or
so this Santa's Helper hangs out in our city parks, and it magically moves around. So you have to go find them, and if you go on the park's Facebook page, they'll give you clues as to where it is. Go find it, take a selfie, post it on Facebook, and then look for the next clue, go find that, and continue the process. And of course, prizes available if you participate. So here's an opportunity to go. I don't really do the Facebook thing, but evidently it's a thing.
It's a thing. You know, one of the things I really like about our Parks Department is fitness is at their core. And so one of the events they're doing, it's the Wells Winter Challenge, and they're going to challenge you to some personal fitness goals. 100-mile run or walk, 1,800 exercise minutes, 50 miles run or walk for kids, and it's a great program.
So in regards to that, one of the things that I want to encourage any businesses out there, you've got the opportunity to sponsor these events. So each one of these racing events, they'll typically have T-shirts that everyone who registers gets, and all the sponsors will be on the back of the T-shirts. And I think for as low as $100, there's sponsorship opportunities. So again, all of these things are largely provided to our community at little to no charge, but it takes help. Sponsorships play a big role. So not only are you giving an opportunity to the community to participate in a cool event, you're preaching fitness and you're getting people healthy. So it's a double win. So again, great opportunity to be a sponsor of these events. Those events will start in early January and run through the spring, run through the summer. And if you get a big enough sponsorship, you're a sponsor through the whole fleet of events. So for all of you out there who want to see our community be healthy and active, here's a chance to participate in that.
Plenty of opportunity. Yeah. What else you got?
That's it.
Are we done?
I think we're pretty much going to wrap it up. I just want to again encourage a lot of things going on. This week is jam-packed full of events. It's all gonna really finish off with a Parlor City Christmas that we talked about with Aaron this weekend. And so get out, be a part of the downtown. Let's keep the momentum going.
All right. Thanks a lot, Scott. Hey, thanks for joining us. Parlor City Podcast brought to you by Felger Hart, and also a big thanks to the Bourbon MD, which is where we shoot this podcast. So we appreciate the folks here that let us do that. It's a bit of an imposition for them, but man, what a great environment for it.
Yeah, I can't think of a better place. And there's other bourbon events that we're going to be highlighting on this podcast coming up. So be sure you check in on our next podcast 2 weeks from today, and you may hear about a specific bourbon event. Just teasing that a little bit, a specific bourbon event that's coming up that they are sponsoring for the community. So again, we appreciate those like the Bourbon MD who are so active in our downtown, and we appreciate Felger Hart who makes these sort of events possible, and the great guy behind the camera. I think he's got some kids.
I think he
that
does.
probably
I think
participate
we're keeping
in a lot
him.
of these events.
Yeah,
and I think he
so.
might look pretty cool sledding down that big hill.
Hey, thanks for joining us, Parlor City Voice. We'll see you next time.